Hello, everybody. My name is Andrea Kilpatrick, and I am Mrs. Classique Globe 2019. And I am so excited today to be on this show with you and to share with you changes as you reach 45 and above. My show is called Changes, and basically, I really wanted to connect with people to show them that 45 and above are great ages, and you're basically a fine wine, and you are around other people, and you are embracing yourself as a mature woman. I am just so excited to have the show, and I was thinking about how during self-reflection, especially during this COVID and all those months and days to yourself, that how do you deal with changes as you get older? You know, as women, we wear so many hats, and it's just interesting that the hats that you wear, you're so multifaceted as a classique woman or as a woman in general, but going from your 20s to your 30s to your 40s and then 50s and beyond, you change. They say that men change and they get sexier. Women, I think we get wiser and try to handle those men that are sexier a little differently. But I just think that having this kind of show and this kind of platform to be able to share different experiences that women have with each other, and to know that we're not the only ones that are going through those kinds of changes, that gives us a sense of connection as you get older. So during my self-reflection, I was going through some changes. I'm a mother of 2 young girls. My friends have college people that have graduated and high school kids, and you know, it's hard to relate to them. Hello from Southern California. I'm so glad all of you are signing on to see this amazing show called Changes. I have an amazing guest who will be sharing one of her changes with us today. As you get older, you definitely don't think about it when you're younger, but as you get older, you know, you lose your parents, and your children, you become empty nesters, or, you know, all kinds of things happen to you when, as a woman maturing. And more so with me, it's been basically my mental space has changed a little bit on acceptance of myself, kind of becoming full circle and kind of thinking, hey, you know, is that normal? Is that natural? You know, is there somebody else that's going through this too? And just talking with the Globe team and Dr. Tracy and everybody, that this is definitely something that needs to be shared and discussed, and you know, kind of a talk show so that you can share with each other what's going on and experience life changes together, and that you're not the only one out there. And that's what I've realized the last few years, and just being a part of the Mrs. Globe organization. I have only been a part of it for the last 3.5 years, and it's basically become an entire family for me. So it's nice. It's nice to know that you have women that are experiencing what you're experiencing. But I also, you know, want to reach out to everybody else that's out there that may be experiencing this stuff too, and you can connect and you can share with each other, and know that it's all going to be okay, and we're all in the same boat, paddling along up that river together in our winer is probably not a good word, fantastic wine years, I should say. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad that you're joining me. Yes, life starts to take away things from you. You are so right, Teresa. It does. And you don't realize it till you reach that point where you're like, what just happened? And I've become more comfortable in my skin as I've gotten older, and more comfortable with who I am as a person, as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, and other facets of my life. And multitasking is become a sense of necessity to me. And yes, I could multitask when I was younger, but boy, I'm much better at it now that I'm 48. So I want to talk to, today I am going to have a guest, and her name is Janette Lee. She is a former Mrs. Classique Globe as of last year. She's been with the Mrs. Globe organization for a very long time. I would probably say 12 to 14 years. Don't quote me on that. We will ask her. Today on Changes, we're going to be talking about the really sensitive subject of losing your parent and how you handle that. And I've read that that society doesn't really think that an adult should handle grief the way that they should handle grief. They think that it should just go quickly. You've lost whomever, and then you must move on. And grief is a process. It's a 5-step process, and everybody handles it differently. And sometimes you change with that grief. Sometimes you discover and develop yourself. So I would really like to introduce my guest today, Janette Lee, and Mrs. Classique Globe. And let me see if I can figure out how to get her on. Let's see. Okay, guys, technical difficulty here. Janette, are you there? Hello, Janette. Well, I'm going to do a sidebar until I can find her. Oh, thank you. When you lose your parents, you are no longer somebody's baby. That is so true. Some people feel, even some people feel that they're orphans, especially if they've lost both of their parents. I lost my father 14 years ago, and it's difficult. It's difficult to kind of, when you have that certain special relationship with them, to figure out where you are and what you're doing. And I lost him in my 30s, so definitely he was my dad my whole life for 30 years. But when you get older and you lose them, it's a sense of kind of an emptiness. Let's see here. Oh, Janette. Carrie, do you feel that you're personally changed when you lost your father? I did. I relied a lot. That was a very good question, Carrie. Thank you. I relied a lot on my father. He, that term, your daddy's girl kind of thing. I definitely was his girl. I can communicate and understand him better. My mother was full Thai. I'm half Thai and half American or white, whatever, Caucasian. And it was difficult being raised in the United States. I spoke fluent Thai and I spoke fluent English, but my dad just got me more. So it was a very sense of emptiness and longing for somebody. So it was hard, and I still miss him. And sometimes I think I see him occasionally. I'm not crazy, people. Oh, wait, I think I just saw her. We are definitely having technical difficulties with Janette here. Carrie, you seem to be interviewing me because I don't know where my guest is. Do you think you went through those typical 5 stages of grief during this time? I did. Oh, there she is. Hold on. There she is. There she is. I got her. I will finish your answer in just a second, Carrie. Yay! There she is. Everybody, I would really like you. I'd introduce my beautiful, beautiful, vivacious, the epitome of class lady, Miss Janette Lee.
Oh.
Hi,
Hello.
Janette.
I apologize. We had some technical difficulties, but I'm glad
That's
to be
okay.
here. Thank you for having me, Andrea.
Yay! I'm so excited you made it. And you know, I have you know, everything's great. So they were asking great questions, and now it's my turn to ask you some questions. I'm so glad that you made it on.
Oh,
So
likewise.
could you tell me a little, I did give a little introduction about the loss of your mother, and I kind of want to share with everybody what's your family like. I mean, siblings and all of that.
Okay, my family structure. Well, you know, I come from a single family unit. My mother is deaf. I have two wonderful brothers, and then myself, and I am the baby of the family. My brothers are 11 and 12 years older, and so when I came along, it was as if, you know, I was the baby, but yet the only child, because they were so much older than I was. So, you know, it was almost like, you know, they had their own lives to live. So, you know, growing up, you know, I was the spoiled one. Everyone took care of me. But yet, you know, we all rallied together, and, you know, we were a very close family unit.
Awesome. And being the baby of the family, I'm the baby of the family too. And let's talk about your mom and the relationship that you had with her, and that special bond that you had with her. Can you share that?
Yes, my mother was very loving. She was a very hard worker, and everything she did was for the good of the family. She was my constant, and you know, even though, you know, she was a deaf woman, she operated in a matter of that being deaf didn't stop her from taking care of her family or accomplishing her dreams. But in my mind, I always thought that I had to take care of her. But in retrospect, she was always a step ahead of me. And she always created a pathway for my success. And she really, she did that for all of us.
Well, and I know that you had shared, I saw that beautiful picture in your background there of your mother. And I think you said that she was in her 20s, and she was a model, a really prominent model here in Colorado, right?
Yes, yes. She was actually being groomed for the Miss America pageants. And
Wow.
prior to meeting my father. But yes, she was all over the Denver newspapers. She
That's amazing.
was very much the cover of Colorado.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, I can see where you get your beauty from, because she's stunning. I mean, I don't know if all of you can see that photo in the background, but she's a stunning woman. So I had read recently that the loss of any parent creates a kind of emptiness in most everyone's life, especially the loss of somebody that's been your mother for 48 plus years. I'm not going to give your age. Take me to that point to where your mother became ill.
Okay.
I mean, and I appreciate your vulnerability and you sharing this with us. This is really important to know and to share with other people. And I really appreciate you sharing this stuff with us.
You know, if my journey helps someone else, then I'm happy to share.
Amazing.
You know, my mother beat breast cancer twice. And so, actually it was, you know, a moment where we were planning and celebrating life. We had grandchildren, we had plans, we were in a place where she was going to travel with me to Palm Springs to watch me crown the new queen. And we were going to celebrate all things happiness. And after Christmas, my son called me and said, you know, Grandma had fallen and she's in the hospital and we just need you to come home and you know, take care of her, you know, be her interpreter and just to make sure, you know, things are okay. So I flew home the day after Christmas. Come to find out it wasn't just a fall. Come to find out that it wasn't breast cancer that reemerged, but it was multiple myeloma. And transferring the thought that it wasn't breast cancer, but the fact that I had to tell my mother that she had a month and a half to live, and I had to be the one to tell her that because I was her interpreter. I was the one that took care of her intimately. I immediately flew back home, put in my FMLA paperwork for work, and stayed with my mother for 3 months. And now, granted, I had a month and a half with my brothers and my son and my amazing daughter-in-law. We rallied together, and we took care of my mother and had that time with her to be with her. We had those quiet moments, and then we had to transition to plan her funeral and then take care of the estate. It was such a short amount of time. However, I'm grateful that I had the time of peace and quiet with her, because she gave me perspective on what's beyond the veil. And I could have turned that moment into grief for myself, and I could have made it all about me and losing my mother, yes, but it was her time, her cycle, or the circle of life, and who am I to take that away from her? So I decided to be quiet and sit in the stillness and let her tell me what she saw, what her fears were. And you know what? She wasn't afraid. She was the one comforting me. She told me not to be afraid. She told me that she was going to be with me every day and to look for her. And suddenly my perspective on death shifted. She wasn't dying. She was transforming into something beautiful in her eyes. And she shared secrets that are very, very spiritual. And I know we all have different religious beliefs, but death is not something that I fear anymore. And so I'm very grateful, even though it was a limited amount of time, that I'm grateful that I was allowed the angelic moments that I had with her.
Yeah, I didn't get those moments with my dad, but I do remember you were mentioning earlier about she was lucid a lot and sharing all of this stuff with you. I got some of that, so I'm on the same road with you with that, where you have that connection, and it's almost like their final gift to you, you know, that they're just kind of like, I'm gonna be with you, I'm not going anywhere. But you know, and you know, they had said too recently, I've been reading a lot of research about this, that 45% of American women within a year lose a parent. 45%. That's a lot. That's a lot. And for a subject that isn't, that is so faux pas, I guess, that people are just like, oh no, we don't talk about that, you know, because people grieve differently. But I just really am embracing how you are grieving her, just by the little conversation that I've had with you. How did this loss affect you as a person, as a family?
Well, I think that, well, you know, one, I'm still grieving, but I find my grief, you know, different stages of the grief happening at different times in my life. I feel that I've had to go back to my foundation, and I have learned that life is going to happen, and we can't control anything that happens to us, but we can control how we react to it. And if we have the foundation of self-control, and that we know that everything is going to be okay if we can control our emotions, then everything else can happen. The house can burn down and we're still going to be okay. But you just have to listen to the stillness. And when you listen to the stillness, the answers come. My family's been very instrumental. I think it is my mother's passing has brought us closer, because we enjoy talking about her memories. We don't talk about her passing. We talk about the things that she's enjoyed, and we encourage each other to continue to do the things that bring us happiness, because that's what my mother has instilled in us. So, we can choose to curl up in a corner and grieve, or we can choose to continue to do things that make us smile. And that's why I continue to take the next step, even though it's painful at times, but I still go to work. I still fulfill my commitments. And when I fulfill my commitments and I look out, I see my mother. I see my mother in my classroom. I see my mother when I'm on the pageant stage. I see my mother when I'm talking to my friends, or when I have that friendly phone call that comes in. I choose not to stay at home and close myself off from the world, because that's not where life is.
Well, and I don't think that she would want that. She would want you to experience life from just what I've heard about her. They say that matriarch is the family stone that kind of keeps the family together, flashlight, beacon. What would you give, what advice would you give to other women and other people, men or women, that have lost their loved one, how to navigate themselves after that family stone is gone? Then, what advice would you give them to navigate themselves? If I could split that question out. It came out eventually.
That's a very good question. I'm still navigating through that. And, of course, this could be a multi-episode.
Well, that's how the question was asked. So good answer.
I always go back to the advice, or the pieces of advice that my mother gives me. I'm all about symbolism. So I hold dear to the pieces that my mother has given me. And so when I feel anxious, I'll wear a piece of her jewelry, or, I'll hold something near and dear that, that she has had, or, so I have her things around me to remind me that she's still with me. But at the end of the day, I know that her legacy shines through me. I can look in the mirror and still see my mother. The kindness that my mother had for people shines through me. I want to be like my mother. I am my mother. I am her genetic makeup. So that beacon, I just want her to be proud, because she's still there. She hasn't left me. I know she is still guiding me. I know that for a fact. So I'm still navigating my way through, but I still see her to this day, and I want her proud of me. So, well,
and I'm totally on board with the whole that they don't leave you. I'm sure she's standing behind you, just cheering you on right now, saying you're doing so great. You're doing so great. So you did answer my question about how you're going to keep her legacy alive, which I got through you. You're going to keep her legacy alive. How were you grieving, and what were your steps of grief? I know you had mentioned earlier you are still kind of going through the process.
Yes.
I don't think that you ever, I think that you go through the 5 steps, initially, but I think that it's a constant kind of 5-step process.
It is.
Through everything, because you don't have them anymore. So how are you handling the steps?
I think it's completely out of order, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And complete chaos.
You? Chaos? No way.
Because, everything in my life is very organized.
Yes, I know.
Probably because that's the educator in me. Because prior to all of this happening, I, made sure that everything for the title of Mrs.GLOBE Classique was taken care of. All of, every I was dotted and T was crossed before this happened, and my lesson plans for my classroom were taken care of. So when everything came crashing down, all I had to do was put the pieces in place, and everything ran smoothly, so I could transition to over here. So everything was like clockwork. Likewise, when I went back to work, everything was like clockwork. So I'm still operating like clockwork.
You're very regimented.
Yes. So if you need anything planned out, I'm your girl. But it's interesting that you asked that question. Now that we are in this pandemic and we're in lockdown, I have nothing. I have to be quiet. There is nothing for me to plan. I am forced to reflect and deal with my grief because there's nothing for me to work on. And that's very scary for me because I don't know how my emotions are going to manifest.
Yeah.
So you asked me how I'm dealing with it. Quiet scares me. I'm really good when you give me a project. I can do projects very well. So I sit in my backyard and I see my hummingbirds, my dragonflies, the butterflies. I mean, they almost attack me in a sense of my mother saying, I'm here. You know, I know what that's all about. However, I'm afraid to grieve because then I'm afraid to break. And when I break, I know I have to build myself up. Now, what has been very helpful is attending Dr. Tracy's Reclaiming Me classes.
Absolutely.
That has helped me build my foundational planks. And it's helped me in my grief process. And in my quiet time during this pandemic, I can say that has been the #1 thing that has helped me through my grief.
Yeah, she is a wise woman, isn't she? And her classes are amazing. I mean, I attended one class and you would have thought I'd been in all of her classes because I just felt so empowered and so, oh my gosh, this all makes sense now. You know, when you know, it's like it's all going in here and then you're like, well, it doesn't, why can't I get it in order? And then you hear one of her wise phrases or whatever and you go, then that you know, that light bulb goes on. But yes, so that's good that the WIN organization and her classes, she's amazing, has been able to help you. We are running out of time and I just love talking to you. But I think this subject is so important that, and there's so many layers. Janette was sharing with me that there are just so many layers of when you lose a parent and how to deal with it in everyday life and all of that I think I'm going to be bringing her back in the fall so we can talk about it some more. Are you up for that?
I would love to.
That
Absolutely.
Yes. That would be awesome.
You.
I'm so excited. But thank you so much for sharing such an intimate part of you with us and for sharing with us your beautiful mother. And I wish I would have had an opportunity to meet her. She just sounds so lovely. And I thank you for being with us and showing us your beautiful face.
Yeah, well, thank you for the platform for, you know, speaking on this topic. It's new to me as well as I navigate through my own emotions, but you know, it's an honor to talk about my mother too, because she was an amazing woman, and hopefully, you know, I can manifest just a little bit of who she was. So thank you.
Well, you are an epitome of who she was. So that's every day she lives through you. So thank you again, and we will chat soon. Bye. Thank you, Janette. Say bye, Janette. Thank you. Oh, she did it in sign too.
Yes.
Did you say I love you?
Too. Yes, I love you, and then I really love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That was such an inspiring interview. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm going to close today, and I was just so excited to talk to her. But my final thoughts with this interview and with this whole segment of the show is they say that when you lose somebody, that it teaches you to live a better life. And I strongly believe that. I think that when you do lose somebody, you reconnect with who you are, and you reconnect with the memories and everything that they have taught you, and you become a better person. And after listening to Janette, I think she's handling this transitions that she's going through by losing her mother with such grace and such beauty. And my takeaway is from her is we got to treasure all those little moments that we have with our parents, and especially as we get older. I want to thank you so much for watching, and next week, the changes that we're going to embrace is going to be a little bit different. I have a guest next week that is going to help us dress like a classique with class. So thank you so much for watching, and I'm just so excited that you all signed on, and I hope to see you all next week. Bye-bye. And this is Andrea Kilpatrick signing out. Bye-bye.